What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Here with the Denver Broncos team breakdown, so let's get right into it. Last season, there's a lot to say about Broncos last season. Obviously, went into the season with very high expectations. Like every other team in the AFC West, pretty much had a really big offseason, traded a whole lot to get Russell Wilson. People were saying that Broncos fleeced the Seahawks and that the Broncos were going to be amazing. Personally, I was not as high on the Broncos as everyone else was. I had them more of like a 8-9, 9-8 team. I didn't necessarily think they were going to make the playoffs just because they were in a very competitive division and conference, but I never expected it to go as bad as it did. Russell Wilson was bad. The team was bad. The defense was good, but the offense was so terrible. Won 5 games, 4th in the AFC West, 14th in the AFC. Missed the playoffs, obviously. Overall, not a good season for the Broncos last year. Looking at the notable additions, someone who's not on this list, but I would say is the greatest addition, is their new head coach, and Sean Payton. I think that is a huge upgrade. Someone who's a proven head coach, whereas Nathaniel Hackett was obviously known to be a good coordinator, but obviously it didn't work out as head coach. Sean Payton, on the other hand, has had a lot of success at head coach, so I think that's going to be a big upgrade for them. Looking at the actual players, Marquez Callaway's receiving depth, Jared Stidham, quarterback depth. You also bring in Ben DiNucci at quarterback depth. He's not on this list, but that was another move you made. Offensive line, Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. The Mike McGlinchey addition should be very good for that O-line. And then Riley Dixon, punter. Zach Allen, I think, is a good addition on the D-line, and then in the backfield, fullback Michael Burton and running back Samaje Perine, who I do like for them. I think he's a talented back, and if Javonte does miss time while still recovering from his knee injury, I think he should take over the starting role pretty well. As for losses, you lose Draymond Jones on the D-line, your punter Corliss Waitman, Graham Glasgow on the offensive line, Chase Edmonds, Latavius Murray. In the backfield, Dalton Reisner, Billy Turner, Ronald Darby. A lot of offensive line, a lot of running backs, but no one huge. The Draymond Jones loss is going to hurt a bit, but I don't think anything too crazy. And then looking at the draft class, didn't have any top picks because of the Russell Wilson trade. You get Marvin Mims to add to the receiver room, Drew Sanders, linebacker, Riley Moss, J.L. Skinner, both in the secondary, and then Alex Forsyth, interior offensive lineman out of Oregon. I mean, solid draft, nothing crazy, didn't have any top picks, but I think they did well. Looking at their opponents, the schedule is not great. You play the AFC East, NFC North, and then your AFC West opponents, as well as the Commanders, Browns, and Texans, so it's a tough schedule, but I do think the Broncos are going to be a much better team this year. I think Russell Wilson will be a lot closer to prime Russell Wilson than what he was last year. I think the Sean Payton addition will help a lot. I expect that offense to be a lot better. Hopefully they'll be able to get a good running game going. I expect the defense to still be very good. I do think they are going to be better, but it is still a tough schedule. So, looking at a ceiling for the Denver Broncos, I'm confident, I'm optimistic. I think they can hit an 11-6 record. Now, this is just their ceiling, not my actual prediction, but I think they can split the Chiefs, split the Chargers. I think there's a world where they can easily sweep the Raiders. Packers, Vikings, Patriots, Bears, beat them. Texans is winnable. Browns, Commanders, winnable. I do have them losing to the Jets and Dolphins. Those are tough games. Lions and Bills. And I think if you're a Broncos fan, this would be a very successful season to put together an 11-6 team, potentially a playoff team. I think they can hit this. But that is if Russ improves significantly, Sean Payton works out, Javonte recovers from his injury, defense is still good. If that doesn't happen, you're looking at a pretty low floor, which I have at 4-13, getting swept by the Chiefs and Chargers, splitting the Raiders, and then only beating the Vikings, Patriots, and Texans. I am optimistic, but realistically, the signs that were shown last season from Russ in particular can't be ignored, and they could still be a bad team. As for my prediction for them, I do have them having a winning record of just 9-8. I have them getting swept by the Chiefs, splitting the Chargers and Raiders, beating the Packers, Vikings, Bears, but losing to the Lions in the NFC North, and then in the AFC East, beating the Patriots, losing to the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins, but winning those other 3 games against the Browns, Commanders, and Texans. And I think that is overall a good season for the Broncos. I think I'm probably going to end up being higher on the Broncos than a lot of other people. I don't know how many other people will project them to have a winning record, but I am optimistic that they can get there. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the Denver Broncos. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe